What if I told you something you did recently already changed your future? Not something big, not something people noticed, something small, quiet, almost forgettable. You thought it meant nothing, but Allah didn't. Right now, while you're watching this, a miracle could already be unfolding in your life. Not loud, not obvious, but real. And today, you're about to discover 7 powerful truths in Islam that will make you realize nothing you do for Allah ever goes unnoticed. 1. Nothing you do is ever lost. There is a silent lie that weakens your heart. It didn't matter. You were patient, but nothing changed. You did good, but no one noticed. You walked away from wrong, but life stayed the same. So you start to feel like your effort meant nothing. But in Islam, nothing you do for Allah is ever wasted. That moment you controlled your anger, it was recorded. That quiet dua you made, it was heard. That small good deed, it was preserved. Even if the world ignored it, Allah did not. Here's the truth most people miss. Your life doesn't change from big actions. It changes from small, sincere ones no one sees. Because those are done only for Allah, and a single sincere act can carry more weight than a lifetime of empty ones. But you won't always see results immediately. That's the test. Allah is not ignoring you. He is preparing the right moment. So never stop, because one day, suddenly, everything will shift, and you'll realize that one small thing you thought meant nothing was the reason everything changed. 2. Allah works in ways you cannot see. You judge your life by what you can see. If nothing changes, you think nothing is happening. If doors close, you think you're being denied. If you feel stuck, you think you're forgotten. But Allah's work is not always visible. While you were waiting, He was protecting you. While you felt delayed, He was redirecting you. While you thought nothing was moving, everything was being arranged. There are things you were saved from that you will never know. Paths you were kept away from that would have broken you. Situations that didn't happen because Allah removed them quietly. And you call it nothing, but it was everything. Not all miracles are loud. Some are silent changes behind the scenes. A missed opportunity, a delayed result, an unexpected turn. These are not accidents. They are part of a plan you cannot fully see because you live in the moment. Allah sees the outcome. So when nothing seems to be happening, remember this. Just because you don't see movement doesn't mean Allah isn't working. It means He's working in ways beyond your understanding. 3. Sincerity. Niyyah changes everything. 2 people can do the same action, but one walks away with nothing, and the other walks away with a reward beyond imagination. The difference is not the action. The difference is the intention. In Islam, what lives in your heart matters more than what is seen on the outside. You can give charity, but if it's for attention, it carries no weight. You can pray, but if your heart is absent, it remains empty. But a small action, done purely for Allah, becomes powerful. That moment you helped someone quietly, that time you chose what is right when no one was watching, that sincere dua you made with a heavy heart, those are the actions that reach Allah. Because they are real. Sincerity turns something small into something azim. It multiplies what seems insignificant into something life-changing. And this is why you sometimes see people receive unexpected blessings. It's not random. It's the result of something they did, sincerely, that only Allah saw. So don't focus on how big your actions are. Focus on how pure they are, because one sincere moment can be enough for Allah to change everything. 4. Allah rewards you at the perfect time. One of the hardest things for the human heart to accept is waiting. You do the right thing, and you expect something to happen. You make dua, and you wait for a response. You stay patient, and you hope for relief. But when nothing changes immediately, something begins to shake inside you. You start asking questions. Why is this taking so long? Did Allah accept it? Am I being ignored? And slowly, without realizing it, your trust begins to weaken, because deep down, you wanted the result now. But here is the truth most people struggle to understand. Allah does not work according to your timing. He works according to what is perfect. And perfect timing is not always fast timing. Sometimes, the delay you hate is the very thing protecting you. Because if Allah gave you what you asked for immediately, you might not be ready for it. You might misuse it. You might not appreciate it. You might even be harmed by it. So Allah delays it, not to punish you, but to prepare you, to shape your mindset, to strengthen your patience, to purify your intentions. Because what you are asking for is not just about receiving something, it's about becoming someone who can handle it. Think about it deeply. There are people who got what they wanted too early, and it destroyed them. And there are people who had to wait. But when it finally came, it changed their life in the most beautiful way. That is the difference between your timing and Allah's timing. You see the present. Allah sees where this path will lead you in 5 years, 10 years, even beyond this life. So when something is delayed, it is never random. It is calculated with wisdom you cannot fully grasp. And here is where your faith is tested the most. Can you keep doing al-khair, even when you see no result? Can you keep making dua, even when you feel unheard? Can you keep trusting, even when everything around you feels uncertain? Because this is the space where many people give up. They stop trying. They stop believing. They stop expecting anything good. Not because Allah failed them, but because they couldn't handle the waiting. And that is where they lose. Because what they don't realize is they were closer than they thought. Sometimes the moment you feel like giving up is the exact moment your answer is about to come. But you don't see it because you're tired, because you're drained, because you've waited too long. So you assume nothing is happening. But behind the scenes, everything is aligning. Allah is placing the right people in your path, removing what would have harmed you, creating the exact situation needed for your dua to unfold. And when it finally happens, it won't feel random. It will feel precise, like everything that happened before it was leading to that exact moment. That's when you understand something powerful. If it came earlier, it wouldn't have felt the same. If it came later, it might have been too late. But it came exactly when it was supposed to. And that is why it changes everything. Because Allah's timing doesn't just give you what you want. It gives it to you in a way that transforms your life. So stop measuring your life by speed. Stop thinking that delay means denial. And stop assuming that nothing is happening just because you don't see results. Because Allah is not slow. He is precise. And every second you are waiting is not empty. It is filled with unseen preparation. Preparation for a moment that will make you realize why everything had to happen the way it did. 5. Your difficulties are part of the miracle. There is something about pain that makes you question everything. When life becomes heavy, when things don't go your way, when you feel like you're being pushed beyond your limit, you start to think, why is this happening to me? Did I do something wrong? Why is my life so hard? And, without realizing it, you begin to see your hardship as a problem, something separate from goodness, something that shouldn't be there. But in Islam, your difficulties are not separate from your blessings. They are often the beginning of them, because what you call pain, Allah may be using as preparation for something bigger than you can currently handle. Think about this deeply. If everything in your life was easy, if you never struggled, if you never faced loss, rejection, or disappointment, would you grow? Would your heart soften? Would your connection with Allah deepen? Would you truly understand patience, gratitude, and reliance? Most people only turn back to Allah when something breaks inside them. And that breaking is not destruction. It is awakening. Because sometimes Allah places you in a situation where nothing else can help you. So you finally turn to him with sincerity you never had before. That moment is powerful, more powerful than years of comfortable, distracted living. And this is why hardship is not a sign that Allah has left you. It is often a sign that He is drawing you closer. Every difficulty you face is doing something you cannot see immediately. It is erasing your sins. It is raising your status. It is strengthening your heart. Even the pain you cry over at night, even the stress you carry silently, even the battles no one knows you're fighting, none of it is wasted. Not a single tear falls without meaning. But here is where most people misunderstand their situation. They think the hardship itself is the end of the story. They think, this is my life now. Just struggle. But what they don't see is, the hardship is not the destination. It is the process. A process that is shaping you into someone ready for what is coming next. Because if Allah gave you certain blessings right now, without preparing you first, you might not handle them correctly. You might lose them. You might misuse them. You might not even recognize their value. So Allah allows you to go through what feels like breaking, to build you into someone stronger, wiser, and more aware. And then, when the blessing finally comes, you are not the same person anymore. You appreciate it differently. You protect it differently. You understand it differently. That is when you realize the hardship was never separate from the miracle. It was part of it. But here is the deeper truth. Sometimes the real miracle is not what changes around you. It's what changes within you. Your mindset, your strength, your patience, your relationship with Allah. Because when those things change, your entire life changes with them. And suddenly, the same situations that once broke you no longer have the same power over you. That is transformation. That is growth. That is the hidden gift inside your struggle. So, the next time you feel overwhelmed, don't rush to label it as something negative. Instead, ask yourself, what is Allah preparing me for? Because your current difficulty may be the exact reason your future will be different. And one day, when things finally shift, when relief comes, when doors open, when your life changes, you will look back at this painful chapter and you will understand something that once felt impossible to accept. This wasn't the thing that was destroying me. This was the thing that was building me. And without it, I would have never become who I needed to be. 6. Allah responds even when you feel silent. There are moments in your life when you raise your hands and nothing seems to come back. You make dua again and again. You speak from your heart. You ask sincerely. But days pass. Weeks pass. Maybe even longer. And nothing changes. That silence begins to feel heavy. You start wondering, is Allah listening? Why isn't anything happening? Am I being ignored? And slowly, your hope begins to weaken. Because silence can feel like rejection. But in Islam, this is one of the biggest misunderstandings. Allah is never silent, not for a single moment. Every dua you make is heard instantly. Every word you say is known. Every feeling inside your chest is understood. So, if nothing seems to change, it is not because Allah is ignoring you. It is because He is responding in a way you cannot yet see. And this is where your perspective must change. Because Allah does not answer dua in only one way. He answers in 3. Sometimes, He gives you exactly what you asked for. And when that happens, it feels clear, direct, immediate. But sometimes, He delays it, not because He refuses, but because the timing is not right yet. There is something still being prepared, something still being aligned, something you are not ready to receive yet. And then there is a third response, one you may never even notice. Allah removes a harm from your life because of your dua. Something bad that was meant to happen doesn't happen. A problem that could have broken you never reaches you. A path that would have hurt you quietly disappears, and you call it nothing. But it was protection. It was an answer, just not in the form you expected. This is why the silence you feel is not empty. It is full of unseen decisions being made for you. But here is where the test becomes difficult. Can you keep making dua even when you feel no response? Can you keep asking even when your situation looks the same? Because this is where many people stop. They give up, not because Allah stopped responding, but because they stopped believing. They think, what's the point? They think, maybe it's not meant for me. They think, maybe Allah doesn't want to give it to me. And they walk away right when things were about to change. Because sometimes the delay is closest to the answer. Sometimes the moment you feel the most unheard is the moment your dua is closest to being accepted. But you don't see it because you're tired, because you have been waiting, because your heart feels heavy. So you mistake delay for denial, when, in reality, Allah is choosing the best possible outcome for you, an outcome that might be different from what you asked, but better than what you imagined. And here is something powerful to hold on to. Allah knows what you want, but more importantly, He knows what you need. You ask from your limited understanding. Allah responds with complete knowledge. You see, today, Allah sees your entire future. So when something doesn't come to you, it's not always because it's being taken away. Sometimes it's being replaced with something better, something safer, something more aligned with who you are meant to become. And one day, you will understand. One day, you will look back and realize, if Allah had given you everything you asked for, your life would not be what it is now, and you will feel grateful, not for what you received, but for what you didn't. So never stop making dua, even when it feels quiet, even when it feels delayed, even when it feels like nothing is happening, because something is always happening. Allah is always responding, just not always in the way you expect, but always in the way that is best for you. 7. Allah's plan is always greater than yours. There is something every human struggles to accept. You are not in control. You plan your life carefully. You decide what you want. You imagine how things should go. You build expectations. This is the path I will take. This is what I need to be happy. This is how my life should unfold. And when things go according to that plan, you feel at ease. But when they don't, when something you wanted is taken away, when a door you were sure would open suddenly closes, when everything you expected falls apart, that's when the struggle begins. Because now, it's not just about what happened, it's about what it means. You start questioning everything. Why did this happen to me? Why didn't Allah give me what I wanted? I was so close. Why did it change? And slowly, frustration replaces trust. Because deep down, you believed your plan was right. But here is the truth that changes everything. Allah's plan is not just different from yours. It is greater than yours. Not slightly better. Not just an alternative. Greater in ways you cannot fully understand. Because your plan is built on what you can see. Allah's plan is built on what you cannot. You see the opportunity. Allah sees the consequences. You see the moment. Allah sees the future. You see what you desire. Allah sees what will destroy you and what will elevate you. And this is why sometimes what you want is taken away from you, not because it was bad in itself, but because it was not meant for you. Because if it stayed, it might have hurt you. It might have distracted you. It might have led you somewhere you were never supposed to go. But you don't see that. You only see the loss. And that loss feels painful. It feels confusing. It feels unfair. Because from your perspective, it made sense. It felt right. You were emotionally attached to it. And that attachment makes it hard to let go. But here is where faith becomes real. Can you trust Allah even when things don't go your way? Can you accept His plan even when you don't understand it? Because this is not easy. It requires you to let go of control. It requires you to admit that your understanding is limited. It requires you to believe that what Allah chooses for you is better than what you would choose for yourself. And that is a deep level of trust. But once you reach that level, something inside you changes. You stop fighting every outcome. You stop questioning every delay. You stop attaching your peace to specific results. Instead, you begin to surrender, not in weakness, but in certainty. Certainty that whatever happens is happening for a reason, and that reason is rooted in wisdom, even if you don't see it immediately. And this is where the most powerful realization begins. Sometimes, what breaks your plan is what builds your life. That rejection you faced, that relationship that ended, that opportunity you lost. At the time, it felt like everything was falling apart. But later, you realize it was actually falling into place. Because if that thing had stayed, you would not have grown. You would not have changed. You would not have become who you are now. And most importantly, you would not have reached what Allah had prepared for you. This is why, when you look back at your life, you start connecting the dots. You see how certain events had to happen, how certain people had to leave, how certain plans had to fail, so something better could take their place. But in the moment, you couldn't see it because you were too close to the situation, too emotionally involved, too focused on what you lost instead of what you were being guided toward. And that is the human condition. We see a closed door and assume the journey has ended. Allah sees that same door as a redirection, a shift, a necessary change to take you somewhere greater. But here is the deeper truth. Allah's plan is not just about this life. It is also about your akhirah. You might want something that benefits you now, but harms you later. You might chase something that gives you temporary happiness, but distances you from what truly matters. And Allah, in His mercy, sometimes removes things from your life, not to take away your happiness, but to protect your future, a future you cannot yet see. And when you begin to understand this, your entire perspective changes. You stop measuring success only by what you gain, and you start recognizing success in what you are protected from. Because sometimes, the greatest blessing is not what Allah gives you, it's what He keeps away from you, and you don't realize it. Until later, until you see what could have happened, until you understand what you were saved from. That's when gratitude replaces confusion. That's when peace replaces frustration. That's when you finally say, Allah knew, and I didn't. And this realization brings a level of calm that nothing else can, because now you are no longer trying to control everything. You are no longer resisting every unexpected turn. You are no longer broken by every outcome that doesn't match your expectations. Instead, you trust, you move forward, you do your best, and you leave the results to Allah, because you know, even when things don't go your way, they are still going the right way, and that is the difference. So the next time something doesn't work out, don't rush to label it as a loss. Don't immediately assume something has gone wrong. Instead, pause and remind yourself, this is not the end of my plan. This is the beginning of Allah's. And whatever He is writing for me is better than anything I could have written for myself, even if I don't understand it yet, even if it hurts right now, even if it takes time to see. Because one day, you will look back at the moments that once confused you, and you will realize they were guiding you all along, guiding you to a place you never would have reached on your own. So the next time you feel like nothing is happening, remember this. You may not see it, you may not feel it, you may not understand it, but Allah is working. That one small action, that one sincere moment, may already be changing your life right now. So don't stop. Keep trusting. Keep doing good. Keep moving forward. Because one day, everything will make sense. And you'll realize what you thought was nothing was actually everything.